Okay, now that we've got our buttons added in, we're going to add something for the player to actually control. This will be kind of our main character, like our Link or our Mario or whatever. To do that, I'll typically set aside a little place. Whoops, click into the screen there. I'll set aside a little place for player information. This is going to have a whole lot of things later on, but for now we're going to start with X and Y. X is the horizontal position of the character on the screen. Y is the vertical position of the character on the screen. So under X, we're going to say if, and this is going to track whether the player has clicked certain buttons, and we're going to adjust our horizontal position accordingly. Remember, in the previous video, we named these values, so we're going to start with if left. If the player has clicked the left button, set this value to itself. That's B8 for me, might be different for you, -1. So subtract 1 from its X value if the player has clicked left. Otherwise, if the player has clicked the right button, we're going to go ahead and do the reverse. We're going to say B8, the X value in this case, +1. And if all else fails, if the player has hit reset, we're going to set this back to a default value of some kind. We might change this later on. For now, I'm going to say 0. If we hit reset, I want the X to go back to 0. And if no buttons are being pressed, we are going to say leave it at B8, the current value of this cell. All right, so now we should see, as I click left, it goes into the negative, and as I click right, it goes into the positive, and if I click reset, it goes to 0. Great. So we'll do the same thing for Y, just one more time, just in case. We're going to say if up, and what is this? This is C8 for me. So C8 -1. So as we go up, we're going into the negative number Y values. Otherwise, if down, we'll go more positive. So we'll say +1. And we're going to say if neither of those, if reset, we'll set that to 0 as well. Otherwise, leave it as is. All right. So now we should see as I click up, it'll go into the negatives, down, it'll go into the positives, reset, it'll go 0, and I can click the directions separately. Awesome. Okay. So now let's go ahead and we'll name these ranges as well, just like we did with the buttons. So we'll do data, named ranges, add a range, player X, and player Y. Okay, so now we need a space to actually show those changes. I like to make a separate screen for our players. So we're going to do, actually, I was going to insert a bunch of new rows, but let's do this. Select all our buttons, Control X or Command X to cut, scroll down a little ways, and paste. So now all of this here is going to be our screen. Actually, let's do, yeah, maybe we'll add a few more rows. Hard to decide. That looks good for now. Let's add a little border around it so I can keep track. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add numbers from left to right here, starting with 0 and going up. Once you've entered a few, you can click and drag them on over. So that's 23 wide, well, 24 wide because we start with 0. We'll do the same here. $13 down, sure, why not? You know, 13's unlucky or whatever, so we'll make it 14. All right, so now we have all these cells, and in them, we're going to say, first, we should set what the player looks like. So I'll make another cell called Sprite. Won't have anything to show unless we set this. You could put really anything you want here. You could put an image, you could put a sparkline formula, you could put text. Me personally, I'm going to put an emoji in there. Let's see, you can see some of my most used emojis here. That's fun. Oh, there's a wizard emoji, right? Yeah. So we'll put a little wizard emoji and make it nice and big. Too big. There we go. Let's name this as well. Add range. We'll call it player sprite. Why not? Okay. So now we're going to add a formula into our screen here. We're going to say if that formula, or that number rather, equals player X. And actually we're going to do so we're going to say not only does it have to equal player X, but also this cell over here needs to equal player Y. So if both those things are true, let's add in the player sprite. Otherwise, leave it blank. We're probably going to add something else here if we want to add other characters, but for now we'll leave it just very simple where it'll only say the player sprite if the X and Y match the player X and Y. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy that formula to all of the things on the screen. So to make this nice and clean, what we're going to do is we're going to add some dollar signs here. So I know that no matter what cell this formula goes in, they're going to want to reference the numbers in row 9. So I'm going to add a dollar sign next to the 9 here. And then for Y, I know that no matter what column the formula is in, it always needs to reference column A. So I'm going to also add a dollar sign there. So that way, no matter where the formula goes, we're only referencing the numbers along the top and left-hand side. So we'll hit enter there. Don't see anything yet, but we should see something as we click and drag that cell across the width of the screen. Yep, there's our little wizard guy. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and we're going to drag this all the way down to the bottom of the screen. It's also included the borders. That's okay. Let's remove those borders. Just re-add them around here. Let's also change the font size. 18 looks pretty good. We'll just center it real quick. Great. So now, if we scroll down a little bit to where we can see the screen and the buttons, and this is where you might want to, play with the screen size a little bit. That's fine. Play with the grid size. But as I move up, oh, he disappears. As I move down, he goes down on the screen, right, left, and if we hit reset, he should go to the top left corner there. So let's see. Yep, awesome. So now we have a player character that can move around the screen. There we go.